Hello, this is me, the Neat, and I guess this is my first mukbang video. Uh, let's see, got a pina colada from the tea latte bar in Coppell. Basically, I've been sucking this like an alcoholic baby, like ever since I got it. It's so good. It's non-alcoholic. Pina colada is just pineapple coconut flavor, but it's my favorite smoothie. And it's got those frog eggs on the bottom that I really like. I like to chew on them. They don't have a taste really. They just satisfy the need to chew on something very chewy. I heard that one kid, like he got a lot of boba tea and he didn't chew them properly and they ended up getting lodged in his stomach. That was just something I heard when I was working like years ago. Oh yeah, I got my Don Hung Lune form uh, pin that I can finally wear proudly because I pulled him in the last pool. I was so excited to see him. I didn't even have to spend any money. I had so much stellar jade saved up. All right, time to try some food. Now, these are pork dumplings from a place called the Phantom Restaurant. It was called Phantom, but it's a Japanese place, but they decorate their store with like Phantom of the Opera posters that are in English. So a little bit confusing. But I am a huge dumpling fan, so I am going to rate these dumplings. Mm. And they're okay. I give them a B. Best dumplings I've had are Hakata Ramen. Their gyoza is really good. And then, of course, there's Mr. Dumpling at H Mart. Peach bun dumplings, just every dumpling you can think of over there. I don't think I'll be able to eat all these dumplings and the bento I got, but let's see. Yeah, they're okay dumplings. Since the restaurant is in my city, it's less of a drive than H Mart or anywhere else, so that's convenient. Big bento box. Okay, turn around. We'll figure out how to get inside this. Okay. There's more dumplings in my bento box. I didn't realize that. Got some peas. They're good for you, which is why I force myself to eat them. but I hate beans and peas. Um, uh, it's really stringy. Uh, it's like a little green floss is flossing my teeth while I chew. Mm, wash it down with some boba tea. Although now I got boba in my mouth and the tea. This was a mistake. Yeah, I only ever eat peas and beans because they're healthy for you. But there's not a single bean or pea that I like. Mm. But you know what I love? I love rice and I love chicken. So let's see if their chicken's good. And their rice. Mm. The rice gets an A plus. It's got a lot of herbs in it. I like that. Mm. Completely blows Panda Express fried rice out of the water. This is good. The Phantom Kitchen. I think that's what they call themselves, not Phantom Restaurant, Phantom Kitchen. And they sell bento boxes, dumplings. They had ramen, but I don't think they had any Japanese desserts. Yeah. Like some Japanese restaurants will sell like mochi ice cream or sometimes a type of cheesecake. Yeah, I'm definitely going back just to order fried rice. Very good. It's got pieces of scrambled egg, which is like my second favorite part of fried rice. Okay, let's try some of the grilled chicken. You could also get it fried for a little bit extra. Mmm, 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 mmm. So dumplings, like a B, not a B plus, not a B minus, just a straight up average B. Rice and the chicken though, A plus, A plus. And I shouldn't really rate like the vegetables or veggies because I just hate vegetables and veggies. So I'm always not gonna like eating them. I have to force myself to eat them. If you see me taking like way too many swigs than the average person when they're eating, it's because I failed my swallow test. I am bad at swallowing, apparently. So it's just easier for me to chew and swallow with liquid in my mouth. Um, yeah, it was really funny. When they took out my breathing tube and my feeding tube, when I was in the hospital last year, I had to take a swallow test to see if I could have like solid food. And like the lady who did the test, she was like, "You're really terrible at swallowing." And I was just like, "This is just how I've swallowed most of my life, even before the feeding tube." I don't know what to tell you, lady. I think it's because I've been on psychiatric meds a lot, and those for some reason kind of like weaken the muscles around my throat, I think. I can't count how many times ugh, I've eaten food and nearly choked to death. I think I either made this joke on my Tumblr a long time ago or a joke on Twitter about the only reason I want to find like a life partner is just someone to watch me eat and make sure I don't choke. Not because I'm lonely. I just need someone to watch me while I eat because there's ways you can do like the Heimlich. Well, you can't do the Heimlich maneuver on yourself, but I watched this firefighter on YouTube and he gives advice. He's like a firefighter EMT dude, and he has really funny skits and stuff. And apparently, if you find yourself choking, the best thing to do is to like slam yourself really hard into like a counter or a chair, maybe. And if that doesn't work, if you live in like an apartment complex, you can just run out of your apartment and be like, yeah. But considering that, like, once my parents die, I pretty much plan to like live alone in the country, I don't see that helping much. Can you train a dog to give you the Heimlich maneuver? I might just have to find a dog who can save me if that happens. I mean, dogs are smart. They can be trained to do a lot of stuff. I never understood how dogs can sense seizures. Do people who have seizures like give off a smell? Because I've had a ton of seizures in my life. Do I smell like a seizure? There's a very cold piece of orange. Mm-mm. I like oranges, but I always hate eating them because they're messy. Mm, ah, ah. I don't know if I need to shave my mustache yet or not. Ugh. Sucks being related to Bigfoot. So very hairy. Now that was at least one nice thing about the fire. It burned a lot of my arm hair and weirdly face hair. Yeah, let's do this. Hopefully maybe Dad'll like the dumplings. He's not a picky eater. But I am loving this rice. Now I feel bad because Tammy asked for a dumpling and I pretty much told her not to touch my food. And now I'm about to go downstairs and be like, anybody want dumplings? Getting lettuce from restaurants, I feel like, is always kind of dangerous. For a while, Wendy's sold like these really good, like strawberry salad things, and I would eat them a lot. But one day, the lettuce tasted a bit off. And instead of going like, must just be a bad batch and throwing it away, I just ate it anyways. And then went to work. And dear goddess, I got so sick at work. And I was the only person there. Because like during the weekdays, like they'll just schedule one person to work at a store in the mall. And I got so sick and I ended up on the bathroom. And I just remember crying, like calling my manager and crying and just like begging her to send someone because I worked at a popcorn store, which means I was handling people's food while violently ill, coming out both ends. And the manager was like, you can't hold it out for another 5 hours? I'm going to, like, this store is about to be shut down. If you allow me to keep working here, I'm going to close it just out of a sense of, ugh. Because, you know, people going to buy food, they think the people working there are healthy, that none of them are sick. But meanwhile, I was working, fake smile plastered to my face while I was in an excruciating pain, and every time a customer left, I just ran to the bathroom weeping. I mean, obviously, I washed my hands really well, but it was just horrible. Eventually, the manager came to help, and I was able to leave and be sick at home. It was just so awful. Ugh. I noticed shortly after, though, that after I got sick, that Wendy's stopped selling those salads. So I wonder if they got a bad batch of lettuce that made a bunch of people sick. Well, the good thing about the store is that they did have gloves. So even after washing my hands, I gloved up anyway. I remember when COVID, they told us all about the regulations of COVID, and one of them was to wash your hands. And people complained about washing their fucking hands. Like, that's I always thought that was a given. I thought that was a social norm, like wearing clothes. You wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. I know some dudes don't always wash their hands after they pee, which is just gross because then you've got dick hands. But what surprised me were the number of women who were like, you can't force me to wash my hands. Like, you don't wash your hands after you go to the bathroom? Like, and you're a lawyer? Ugh. Actually, I was just having that thought. I went to Kroger Pharmacy to pick up my psychiatric meds because I'm a schizo. And there was a person I was going through the drive-through pharmacy, which is where you just pick up your meds and go. I don't think the drive-through people expect you to sit there and ask 50 questions about your meds. If you've got questions about your meds, you go inside and talk to the pharmacist. Usually it's just a tech working the window anyways. But the person in front of me just to the person working the window. And there was a person in front of me, like two people behind me, and we're all just like sitting at our cars like, oh my god, how long is this going to take? It was just like some people, they can be lawyers, doctors, rocket scientists, but they'll just have zero common sense. Oh, the weather's finally chilly enough I can wear sleeves again. Yay. People won't scream when they see my ugly, bloody arms. Although I did have that one guy at the mall say that my arms looked cool. But then again, he was a lotion boy, and lotion boys just compliment women like crazy. Lotion boys, like, typically guys they hire to sell lotion to women in the mall. They usually work at kiosks, but apparently this lotion kiosk must have gotten so much money they got their own store. uh, yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because my walls are just too white and I am too white. Creates this really, really weird camera image. My window isn't even open. I've got the shutters closed and it looks like a biblically accurate angel is about to descend upon my room. 50,000 eyeballs and all. Splash zone. Okay. I don't like tomatoes. They're so sour. They've got kind of like a zesty little taste to them. They're also weirdly sour. Mm. Yeah, so I will definitely be returning to Phantom Kitchen? Phantom Kitchen in Coppell. If it's not Phantom Kitchen, it's Phantom something else, and it sells Japanese food. Pretty decent. Tomato. Ugh. I love ketchup and I love salsa. Why do I hate tomatoes so much? I don't understand. No, I don't think I can eat these peas. I think these peas are good for dogs though, so I might be able to mix them with Penny's food. I'll have to research that. If you're gonna give your dog something and if you don't know it's safe, always research it beforehand. Mm, like cooked turkey. So, there was a year way back when I was still in elementary school, actually. My brother was fooling around with a woman who would later become his wife, fooling around with a married woman, and her husband took a shotgun to my brother and it hit him in the balls. And from what I've heard, he ended up losing one and only had one working testicle, but he'll always claim that he didn't. But I'm just going off what I was told by like Tammy kind of got information from the doctor, so I think she knows the truth, and she claims that only one functioning ball survived. Also, like a shotgun is, you get hit by a shotgun at a close range, you're super dead. What's so weird is that in his 40s, he ended up getting gunned down in the freaking streets. If only the motherfucker who shot him the first time had been the shooter then, I probably would have missed. Fuck, my brother's life was weird. Anyway, so he ended up, nobody else would take him in, so he ended up coming back to our house, and, like, my parents kind of helped nurse him back to health. But he ended up staying for Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't aware of this fact, that dogs cannot, under no circumstance, well, I think you can give dogs, like, cold, like, sandwich meat turkey, but not a whole lot. But you cannot give dogs cooked turkey, because the chemical that makes you sleepy in turkey is like poison to dogs. And he ended up giving some to our poodle, Rosie, at the time, and she almost died. She got very sick. So, like, I was in school, and my poor parents had to take care of my brother suffering a shot to the balls and a poodle nearly dying. Uh, the poodle was okay. We learned exactly what turkey did to her. She almost died. It was very sad. She kind of just sat in a kennel, and it was really hard to get her to drink water. I was really afraid we were going to lose her, but she survived, which was good. Well, Rosie was a good poodle. Our vet, Dr. Morrison, liked Rosie, so he wasn't going to let her die. Dr. Morrison was our vet for years. I think he's retired now. But if he liked your pet, like if he got along with your pet, he would do everything he could for your pet. If he didn't like your pet, like if your dog or your cat scratched him, he would fucking hate that animal. He hated my cat Felicity. First time I took her in for a cleaning treatment, I was like, here's Felicity. She's a little bit of a firecracker, but she's really sweet once you get to know her. Hand her over. I go pick her up because it's like a day surgery. I go pick her up, and the vet techs are crossing their arms. Everyone's glaring at me. And I'm like, did something bad happen to Felicity? And they're like, you have to go get your cats. And I was like, okay. I go in the back, and just there's this demon curled up in the corner, just hissing and spitting. I'm pretty sure she's speaking backwards Latin. Felicity was just insanely angry. And I was just like, you guys cleaned her teeth, right? Or you just shove her in a cage and she started acting like this? They're like, oh, no, we cleaned her cage. She was really great once we put her under anesthesia. It's when she woke up. Apparently, she had scratched a vet tech to the point where the vet tech had just quit their job on the spot, which isn't funny. That's terrible. Although, if you can't handle getting scratched by an animal, maybe working as a vet isn't for you. Just like if you want to work with children, you're going to have to get used to cleaning up poop and being vomited on. That's just what happens. Like, I knew I couldn't work in vet school when they tried to get me to cut the nails on a Great Dane, and I saw that huge dog, and I was like, I can't work with animals this big. I can't work with animals that look like they could eat me in 5 mouthfuls. I've never even seen a mastiff, and those are supposed to be bigger. And then there's Russian bear dogs, which I assume are the size of bears. But anyways, Dr. Morrison hated Felicity. Every time I brought her in for in for shots, he would get so irritated. He's like, well, either you have to hold her or I'm gonna have to put her under. And I just like wrapped her up in a blanket and I was like, just do your fucking job, man. I got kind of put out with him because he definitely favored the sweeter animals, and if you had an animal that had like a slight aversion to the vet, he was very like snippy with you. Like, it's not my fault my cat's psychotic, okay? She came that way. When I went to pick up a cat, I originally wanted a black cat because I just prefer and like black cats. But they shoved Felicity in my face, and they were like, well, look at this cat. She's really sweet. And if you want that other cat, well, you're going to have to buy his brother, too, because they're like a package deal. And I was like, well, I'd really prefer one cat. So they were like, this cat hates all other cats, so take her. Which was, oh, Felicity. Poor Felicity. Like, everyone in my family agrees she would probably be unadoptable by normal people. Mm. Yeah, after the fire, yeah, I'm really grateful Felicity actually got out of the fire herself. Because considering how stupid she's been in the past, climbing up trees and getting chased by birds, that she would either try to hide from the fire or do something stupid. But apparently, according to my parents, she was like just ran straight out the door. It makes me wonder about her past if she'd been in a fire before. Because when we adopted her, she was like just out of the kitten stage. What I would call like the teenager of a cat, not like a baby kitten, but like almost an adult cat by then. But the fire burned the house down, and my parents, well, mom ended up going to the cops, and dad ended up going to the hospital. But the cops got Penny because I don't think Tammy would leave without Penny. But Felicity had probably already fled by that time. But I think it was like a couple of days later, um, was it probably dad called our neighbor, and then our neighbor told us another neighbor, who we like barely even talked to, was taking care of our cat. And apparently she had tried to get Felicity into her house, but Felicity refused. They said Felicity would just hang around the burnt house, which is kind of dangerous. She could have been hurt by something sharp or something could have fallen on her. But our, not the neighbor we typically go to, but the neighbor to the side of us would let out cat food and like water. And Felicity would go to her driveway to get the food. But she just kind of hung around the burnt house. Very strange. We did have a shed that didn't get burnt down, so she probably slept under there. But Felicity was like living out in the wild and by our burnt house for like a week and a couple of days before finally my parents were like, my dad forced himself out of the hospital. They wanted to keep him longer, but he's like, I have to find out where my daughter and wife are. And mom ended up getting arrested and then getting out of jail. And then I think she hung out with like Aunt Terry for a while until dad picked her up. My dad suffered like second-degree burns around his arm and hands. And unlike me, they didn't have to put him in a coma for the pain, so he experienced all of that firsthand. But he got really good at wrapping injuries as a result. But yeah, he what's it called when you leave the hospital and it's not going against doctor's orders or something? But he refused to stay any longer, and they just like prescribed him a bunch of meds and gave him a bunch of like stuff to help with his burn wounds. And he ended up basically just like self-medicating and taking care of his own burnt stuff. But apparently, when the two of them went to visit me for the first time, I had a Phantom Kitchen. I pretty much had like a Phantom of the Opera mask on my face because my face suffered some burns. And apparently the sight of me freaked my dad out so much that like he practically fainted and they had to rush him out of there. My dad's one of those people who's can't really handle like medical stuff. Like if there's a show about like some surgery or a weird medical condition, he does not want to watch it. Meanwhile, Tammy and I are the kind of people who are like grossly fascinated with that stuff. So we'll watch that on purpose. Like, oh, that Animal Planet show. I think it was called Monsters Inside Me and it was about parasites. Oh, that was one of my favorite shows to watch. Animal Planet's not good anymore. I just watch Casual Geographic on YouTube now. Oh man, Casual Geographic has a book out, man. I need to get his book. I wonder if I can just get it on Amazon. Probably. I think his book is about like animals that can kill you or something. He's very cool. I wonder if he went to college to like study biology or something. He just comes off as one of those kids in the 90s who probably spent way too much time watching Animal Planet because they didn't have any friends. Or at least that was me. I don't know about him. Man, is Animal Planet even still around? I remember the last time we had cable and I checked it out. It was all really stupid, annoying shows. Like, there was a show about renovating your aquarium so it looks really cool. Pitbulls and Parolees was kind of good. It was about like people just getting out of jail and a part of their in prison. People getting out of the slammer, and part of their rehabilitation was like training pit bulls so they would be adoptable. I thought that was a cool idea. It's like, I want a pit bull. Do I have to do a crime in order to get a free pit bull? Because in which case, then the price of pit bulls is very low. Just steal some bread from a store. I feel like that wouldn't be enough to get you arrested, though. I feel like you'd get caught, and like, especially here in Texas, like the owners would probably just pity you and give you expired food. Because, man, I worked at grocery stores. You could just fucking steal at the grocery store. The people who worked there weren't allowed to do anything. Like, we weren't even allowed to point it out. Because I saw a lady stealing candy, and I was like, oh, what should I do? And the manager was just like, fuck it, it's candy. It's like $2. It's like less than $2. Who really cares? I mean, do not steal, because it still ends up hurting the store in the long run. I think it was less of a store policy and more of the fact that the place where I worked paid its employees so little they just stopped caring. People would walk out on their jobs all the time. This is really good. Like, I'm glad it was kind of an impulse buy because I was hungry and I was just going to go to Sonic for food, but then I saw the tea latte bar. Now I was like, I could go for like a pina colada smoothie if they have one. And they had one. And then a couple of doors down, I saw like Japanese writing, so I'm like, what's that? And I went over there and I was like, oh, cool, bento box place. Kind of pricey, but I was like, oh, it's close to the house. So might as well see if there's actually good food in Coppell, because one of my biggest complaints is that the only good restaurants are in like old Coppell. But I like Phantom Kitchen. I hope they stick around. One terrible thing about Coppell is that stores will disappear in an instant. I remember there was a place that sold sweets, and Tammy and I were like, we should really go there sometime and check out their like cupcakes and stuff. But like a couple months later, it got replaced with a CPD store. Pretty sure my town has like 5 CPD stores. So you can't get sweets, but I guess if you want to, you can lace your own cupcakes at home. Like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, just make freaking weed legal in Texas. I hate seeing CBD stores everywhere. Just replace it with actual weed, please. My boomer effing parents need their goddamn drugs. I don't use CBD or weed. Had a really bad trip on weed, so not a fan. I don't care if other people do it though. I guess the only deal breaker I have right now is just like if somebody smokes. If they smoke around me, like if you're gonna hang out with me, leave your cigarettes at home then. Man, I used to date a guy and he'd like smoke after every meal. Which, doesn't that just ruin the meal? He would do it in his car, which I mean, at least you can roll the windows down, but his car always stunk. I've never gotten why, like, my generation and the generations that follow continue to smoke. Because, like, we were raised to think cigarettes were basically Satan. I mean, I was in the DARE program. I think the DARE program has failed terribly since then. But when I was in it, the cops seemed at least enthusiastic enough to teach us stuff. And one of the big things was, cigarettes, oh, you'll die of lung cancer, and you'll die of liver cancer, you'll die of throat cancer, you'll end up needing a breathing tube. But I've known bitches who have smoked for like 90 years, and they never fucking die. They're my family members, and God, they never fucking die. The people I like end up dying, and the bitches I hate live forever. I am 100% certain there is a curse on my family where all of the men typically die young and the women live to be 120, smoking, drinking wine, and doing heroin all at once. They're fucking succubi. I think they just suck the energy out of the men that are around them, and that's how they sustain themselves. Ugh, my grandmother just won't shut up. She lives like a 4-hour drive away, and it's on a really dangerous freeway. But yet she's like, why don't you come visit me every week? Because I don't want to take my life into at risk every time just to see you and sit in your stupid, crappy apartment and watch Netflix, because that's all we can fucking do. It's not like I have a life or anything interesting to tell you about. It's not like, oh, Emma, when are you going to get married? Never. Oh, Emma, when are you going to have kids? Never. Oh, Emma, when are you going to do anything? Never. Ugh. Hey, just leave me alone. I just want to play video games and sulk and be depressed about life. The only good thing about visiting my grandmother is that she might possibly be one of the only people who hates her daughter more than I do. Her daughter being my mom, Tammy. Because, like, when Tammy's not around, my grandmother and I will just sit and just fucking bash Tammy all night long. Just insult her intelligence mostly. That's so much fun. It's like, Tammy, I don't know why she grew up to be so stupid. Must have been all the drugs she did as a teen. Or the heroin. Or the fact she lived as a prostitute. Or the heroin. Oh, it's probably the heroin. And then the methadone. And she still is on methadone. Ugh. Then she mixes her methadone with other pills she shouldn't mix it with, and ends up acting like a zombie. Ugh, boomers and their fucking drugs. Like, neither of my parents should have ever had kids. They're both terrible people, to be honest. Like, my dad, okay person. Okay person. My mom. Like, I think one of the reasons Zachary was a criminal and ended up dying in the streets. Tammy, oh god. If she dies before me, which is a really strong if, because like I said, I'm pretty sure her bloodline are all succubi, and I don't think I inherited that trait, since I don't feel the need to suck the life out of people around me. But if on the blessed chance that she dies before me, I'm gonna hire one of those, like, New Orleans party people. You know, they throw a party. You can just hire a party anytime at New Orleans, and they'll have parades and stuff. Just hire some of them to come over here to Texas and just throw a great big bash during her funeral. Ding dong, the witch is dead. We'll just sing that song and just watch my family just watch concerned. It's like, I'll pay for the entire funeral if I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I'll buy the casket or get her ashes cremated and put in a nice box. But allow me to do whatever I want at the funeral. Fuck a priest, fuck the slideshow, fuck talking about what a great person she is. We're gonna sing Ding Dong the Witch is Dead while we watch her go underground, okay? Whenever I feel myself thinking, my mom's not that bad, I remember, oh yeah, the bitch almost killed me. Oh, and then she almost burnt. Oh, she did completely burn the house down. She's almost killed me multiple times. After Zach died, she just used us as an excuse to get drunk every day, and she would fucking beat me. She tried to beat me with a chair, but luckily Dad got between us. And I saw this post on Pinterest. No, Pinterest, yeah. That's where I hang out because I don't like to talk to people. So I just look at memes without having to interact with people. There was a note on Pinterest, and it was from like a teacher, and they said, when boys get into fights, we're told to get between them and stop them. But when girls get into fights, we just have to stand back and wait for it to finish because girls will fight back and tend to be more violent than like boys. They were talking about like elementary school kids, and I was like, holy fucking shit. What kind of fights are your kids getting into? Like, I remember like some kids hitting each other, but I don't think I ever saw like a full scale brawl. People mostly just threw stuff at me or tried to pick me up. A couple of bitches like hit me, but to be fair, that was like high school and I was being a bitch back to them, so I kind of deserved it. Well, I need a new Dr. Pepper. This is really good food. I'm glad I went to Phantom Kitchen. Now I have a place in Coppell where they serve decent fried rice. I'm happy. Well, this video has gone on for like almost 50 minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and end it there. I have a Patreon if you want to help me pay for food and medicine. On my Patreon, I mostly just have Let's Play videos, but some of them are like H games and not safe for work stuff, which is fun. I've got a horror visual novel I'm playing that I have to record some footage later. And it's been pretty interesting. It's got some good scares if you want to watch that. Like, if you just want to watch a video and then unsubscribe, that's always great. Just every little bit helps. I was really hoping that by this, like, I started my Patreon around May or something, and I was hoping I would get enough money to donate to the Texas Burn Survivors Society, but that didn't end up happening. So maybe, hopefully, next year I'll be in a better place financially. I would really like to make that donation eventually. Maybe if I just give myself another year. But thanks to Luke, Selly, and Jesse for being on my Patreon. You guys are awesome. Especially Luke, one of my oldest and dearest friends from across the pond. So, ta-ta for now. And